You want to call the roll, sir?
Ms. Atkinson?
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson?
Yes.
Dr. Fitz?
Yes.
Mr. Howell?
Yes.
Mr. Lockwood?
Yes.
Ms. Price?
Yes.
Chair Davenport?
Yes. Unless there's addition, changes, or corrections to last month's minutes, motion to accept, please.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Atkinson, second by Mr. Lockwood to accept the minutes.
Ms. Atkinson?
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson?
Yes.
Dr. Fitz?
Yes.
Mr. Howell?
Yes.
Mr. Lockwood?
Yes.
Ms. Price?
Yes.
Chair Davenport?
Yes. Before we begin our hearing tonight, our counselor, Mr. Hoy Hodges, will tell you what you have to do in order to get your request approved. Mr. Hodges?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, on both these applications tonight, if you'd make a part of the record, the joint zoning ordinance, the comprehensive plan, the staff report, and any exhibits which are attached to those staff reports should also be made a part of the record. And we need to swear in Rachel Hurt and Jenny Willoughby and recognize their qualifications as zoning administrators.
You ladies swear to tell the truth?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Okay, both items tonight are requests for a variance, and there are certain findings the board must make. Those are set forth in KRS 100.243. The board must find that the requested variance will not adversely affect the public health, safety, or welfare, that it will not alter the essential character of the general vicinity, that it will not cause a hazard or a nuisance to the public, that it will not allow an unreasonable circumvention of the requirements of the zoning regulations. In order to prevail on your request, you need a majority vote of those present. It has to be an affirmative vote. A pass vote has no force or effect. And if you're dissatisfied with the decision here tonight, you have 30 days to file an appeal, and that would go directly to Warren Circuit Court.
All right, thank you, sir. Our first request tonight, Beach Holdings LLC has filed an application for a variance from the required 25-foot building line setback on the property located at 604 Power Street and 720 Beach Street. The property zone HI Heavy Industrial and LI Light Industrial. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We had a pre-application meeting back in June for the property on Power Street and Beach Street. There's the current location. Feels like it might be crackling at you, I'm sorry. The current zoning is HI and LI, as you indicated, and the current land use is industrial. There's their site plan. It can also be found on page 7 of your staff report, I believe. And they are requesting a variance of 17 feet from the required 25-foot front yard building setback along Power Street to allow for a proposed storage building to be constructed 8 feet from the property line. Looking down to the zoning ordinance reference, section 4.7.3.b of the property development standards table, the front yard setback in the LI zone is 25 feet. The variance findings are on the bottom of page 1 and moving over to page 2. And the applicants have also submitted that narrative about midway down the page for your all's review. Looking back to page 1 with some points to consider, staff suggested that the applicants utilize the variable front yard setback along Power Street, which would result in a required setback along Power Street of approximately 11 feet. This would not require a variance. The requested variance does not arise from special circumstances which do not generally apply to land in the general vicinity or in the same zone. The property is not exceptionally narrow or shallow and is not an unusual shape. There are no exceptional topographic conditions that are applicable to the property. The applicant could select alternate building plans and locations that comply with the requirements of the zoning ordinance. And the strict application of the provisions of the regulations do not deprive the applicant of the reasonable use of the land and do not create an unnecessary hardship on the applicant. Note that financial disadvantage to the property owner is no proof of hardship within the purpose of zoning. That's all that staff have, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the board or the staff? I've got just a curious question. Ben, you might have to answer this. Why do we allow subdivisions to build houses with 0 property lines and heavy industry's got a 25-foot setback? Just out of curiosity. Does that make sense, what I'm saying? Anybody?
In the residential zoning districts, they all have the same front yard setback of 25 feet.
So this
That's the setback that's in question for this application is the front yard setback along Power Street.
I didn't know that industrial buildings had front yards.
They sure do.
All right, I'm just curious. Okay. All right, any question of the staff from the board? Thank you, I was just curious about that. Any, are the applicants here? Applicants here? Any opposition to this request? Motion, please.
I make a motion we approve the request for variance at 604 Power Street and 720 Beach Street, docket number 2024-3-14, the variance of 17 feet from the required 25-foot front yard building set back along Power Street. Testimony presented at this public hearing has shown that granting this variance will not alter not adversely affect the public health, safety, or welfare, will not alter the essential character of the general vicinity, will not cause a hazard or nuisance to the public, and it will not allow an unreasonable circumvention of the requirements of the zoning regulation, and that it is compatible with the other uses in that area.
Is it proper motion?
Okay.
Second.
Motion by Dr. Fitz, second by Ms. Atkinson.
Dr. Fitz?
Yes.
Mr. Howell?
Yes.
Mr. Lockwood?
Yes.
Ms. Price?
Yes.
Ms. Atkinson?
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson?
Yes. Yes.
Chair Davenport?
Yes, your request has been approved. Thank you all for coming down. Our next request tonight, Cal Stephen Shirley, 2014 Irrevocable Gift Trust, care of Cal Shirley, has filed an application for a variance from the required 30-foot rear building setback line on the property located at 356 Stone Meadow Circle. This property is on PUD, Planned Unit Development. Rachel.
Thank you, Chair Davenport. We had a pre-application meeting back in May for the property just referenced on Stone Meadow Circle. Here's the aerial view of the property, and you can see the current zoning, as you mentioned, is PUD. The current land use is single family, and we'll leave the site plan up there for your reference. The applicant has requested a variance of 12 feet from the required 30-foot rear yard setback to allow for a proposed accessory structure to be constructed on the property, more specifically a pool house, and the pool house, the location is shown right here where the hand is. The zoning ordinance reference from which the variance is requested comes from section 481C2 that says that any PUD shall be developed in accordance with the standards identified in the approved general development plan for the PUD. And in this case, in this section of Old Stone, the required rear yard setback is 30 feet. Looking at page 1 at the bottom, you've got your variance findings there for your reference. And then on page 2, the applicant supplied a narrative for your review. There are, there's one suggested condition as referenced in section 375 of the zoning ordinance. If you all choose to approve this variance, the staff suggests a condition that a revised plat be submitted to staff for review, approval, and recordation in order to revise the rear yard setback, drainage easement, and utility easement prior to issuance of a building permit. And with that, I'll go back to page 1. We have a couple of points for your consideration. Number 1, the proposed variance will alter the character of the general vicinity, as there are currently no other structures on Stone Meadows Circle that are located in the required 30-foot rear yard setback. And second, the variance does not arise from special circumstances which do not generally apply to land in the vicinity, and there are not any extraordinary or exceptional topographical conditions that would deprive the property owner of the reasonable use of the land. The applicant could select an alternate location for the pool house that complies with the required building setback. That is all for the staff report, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right. Any questions from the board or the staff? Are the applicants here? Applicants here? Does the board have any questions of the applicants? Any opposition to this request? Any opposition? Motion, please.
Make a motion we approve the request for variance at 356 Stone Meadow Circle, docket number 2024-3-15, a variance of 12 feet from the required 30-foot rear yard building setback, with the condition that a revised plat must be submitted to the staff for review, approval, and recordation in order to revise the rear yard setback, drainage assessment, and utility assessment prior to issuance of the building permit. The testimony presented in the public hearing has shown that granting a variance will not adversely affect the public health, safety, or welfare, will not alter the essential character of the general vicinity, will not cause a hazard or nuisance to the public, will not allow an unreasonable circumvention of the requirements of the zoning regulation, and it is compatible with the other homes in the area.
It's a proper motion.
Second.
Motion, Dr. Fitz, second by Ms. Atkinson.
Dr. Fitz,
Yes.
Mr. Howell,
Yes.
Mr. Lockwood,
Yes.
Ms. Price,
Yes.
Ms. Atkinson,
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson,
Yes.
Chair Davenport.
Yes, your request's been approved, gentlemen. Thank you all for coming down. I got another silly question. If that if that pool house was moved 12 foot, that's the same building, would it not do the same character alteration to the neighborhood? Does that make sense what I'm saying? I mean, the building is, I assume what y'all are saying alters the character of the neighborhood. If that property was a little bit further back, would the same building still alter the character of the neighborhood?
It would, because all of the other properties on Stone Meadows Circle have a setback of 30 feet. So there would be no other building that close to the rear property line.
Okay. Didn't we approve something like this in Old Stone last year?
It was in a different section.
Okay.
Since it's a PUD, there's different sections have different development
Oh, really?
standards.
Okay.
Yeah, so when somebody rezones to PUD, they essentially create their own zoning for that particular development, so they can outline lot sizes, setbacks, different development standards, and so the other property you're talking about, I forget which section it was in, but it was in a different section with different
Okay,
development
that
standards.
makes sense. All right, I'm just curious. No problem. All righty, any old business? Any new business? Then we shall adjourn and we'll have a training session. Who's doing the training? You doing the training? All right.